Great, all right, outstanding. Well, it's 6 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting of the Westminster School Board to order. Welcome, everyone. And we'll start with introductions around the room, and that's for the public, just so they know who's here. And we'll start with
Andy Haas, Superintendent of Schools.
Liz Hardy, Principal, Westminster Central School. Jean Bielsi, Westminster School Board.
Cheryl Charles, Westminster School Board.
Aaron Blanchard, Westminster School Board.
Charlie Hutchison, Westminster School Board.
Andrew Cunningham, Southern Vermont Solar.
Simon Houston, Southern Vermont Solar.
Victoria Roberts, Southern Vermont Solar.
And on the screen, another board member. Go ahead, please.
I'm Margie Ferry, Westminster School Board.
And I think that's it. William Nicole is there, and that's great as well. Next is adjustments to the agenda, and I actually do have just a couple under old and unfinished business. I'd like to add the outdoor learning enhancements at both the West School grounds and here, and just a quick update from me, Liz, on where the orders are. As the board approved kind of a long list. Hi, Chad. Good morning. A long list of things to kind of briefly give the board an update.
Absolutely. So
Not now.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's what it's just gonna to the agenda. And then under new business, one item for actually two parts for new business having to do with a work hour Saturday morning at the Westminster West Garden. And the West Community Fair Parade on September 9th. Just a little bit of information about both of those. Those are the only adjustments. Those are under new business.
Sorry, just so that when I work with Nicole, we do the minutes. You want new business to be 6 and just push everything down?
Correct. Exactly.
Okay, and then the outdoor learning will be 5 feet.
Exactly.
Okay.
Actually, it could even come under another topic under 5. They're all updates on capital improvements, and that's what's.
Okay, yeah.
And one more introduction. So welcome, Chad. I ask you to introduce yourself.
Chad Ives, I'm with Southern Vermont Solar. I do a lot of different things.
That's great.
Company, but I oversee construction.
Thank you for being here. We'll do a quick calling for communications and public comments. I think there are none. And so that leads us to our biggest topic for tonight, and that's to kind of officially welcome the 4 representatives from Southern Vermont Solar. And we're delighted the board received your response to the board's request for a proposal having to do with the solar installation at the Westminster Center School. We did, for the public's edification, we did receive 2 excellent responses to the proposal. We're thrilled with both by, I think it's by statute, and we needed to receive 3. So we've officially, because of the size of the project, we were officially requested with the state for a waiver. I think we've heard on that yet, but 2 outstanding proposals. We needed to have 3, so we're requesting a waiver for that. But yours was comprehensive and reasonably priced, actually lower in price than the other bid, and in a way it met our specifications more fully in terms of what you proposed to do. So with that, we do have Pat TV here tonight. We're thrilled. We think if you could just provide some overall information about the project so the public can understand more fully what you're going to be doing here. And then I think we might have some questions for you. And then that leads to some issues that we need to get complete here before you can even start. So, and let's talk about what you need from us as part of what the purpose is tonight. But with that, I'll turn it over to you.
First, I just would like to say thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. We are so excited, both because we're Westminster residents. This is our community, and we have a vested interest in our schools, and that just makes this project really important to us. And we're really excited. We are think that the new incentives that are laid out by the IRA are going to really help schools go solar a lot faster. It's just the timing is just kind of brilliant, lined up And so I think we'll be seeing a lot of this, but the center school right now is a bit of a trailblazer in getting first in line with these new incentives. So we're just so happy to be part of it. Thanks for the opportunity.
Tell the public what's that is.
That's the inflation,
Reduction.
yeah, the Inflation Reduction Act,
Reduction.
which was is now a year old, and it did a lot of things to combat climate change and really promote clean energy. And one of the game changers for schools and nonprofits is now that the 30% tax credit, which before was really just for for-profit people with tax liabilities. Now that's really open to government organizations, nonprofit schools, and that's an incentive of a cash back. So that will really help with this project and be a big bonus. So yeah, the timing is great, and it's all new, so accountants are still figuring it all out. But that's just part of the process, and you know, we're happy to be part of it. Andrew, did you want to start with just
Well,
an overview of the proposal
yeah,
the
sure.
Gym Plus proposal? And
Yeah, so I think looking at the RFP, there's a certain amount of electrical usage that you were hoping to cover. That was sort of the basic thing. The question was, where would a system of that size go? And then, of course, where is it possible? So there were a couple, there was some talk of maybe putting it on the ground, either on the grounds of the school or maybe offsite. And when I looked at the project, I saw plenty of space in it. There's a lot of buildings, and plenty of roof space, and it really can accommodate everything you would be able to do. If you have a budget for it, and it sounds like you did. So one of our big questions now is the roof space is there. We just have to figure out, are the roofs appropriate for that? And that's something we'll get into a little bit. But I think we're just super excited to be a part of this, because not many schools have done this, and a lot more schools will be doing this in the future. So like Victoria said, this is kind of a trailblazing project, and the fact that we can do it in our own backyard is really, it's a good synergy. So I guess that's really all I have to say, but we're very excited about it. And we have just completed another school in Brattleboro, so we have some experience with this.
today, actually, we a minute, like an hour ago, the power was turned on at St. Michael's School. Yeah, very exciting. I think in the next step for us is putting together a contract. And what we really need, the information that we need from your side is, or are the engineers that are involved and the builders that are involved with the building, because we need to verify the structural loads for all the different roofs.
Well, that's right. We have 3 sections of the building, and I think this is the oldest that we're underneath right now, one of the sections. And I think this is the oldest part of the building. And then we have a newer section behind us. And then we have the gym, which is quite new. So there's 3 kind of ports. We have to figure out each of those, right?
Yes, so the number one piece that we would love is to be able to establish 1 or 2 people, or whoever makes sense, to be able to provide that information and kind of work alongside us so that there's one point person, that we can work with throughout the project.
So, Steve Horton,
Yeah.
our project manager,
Yes,
and he would be that, I was speaking with him today about an engineer, and he's gonna get someone to, he knows he needs to get someone to look at the structure and all that stuff, so he'd be the person I would.
okay, so yeah, he was who we were communicating with before, and we were thinking maybe it was him, but we just wanted to
Yep.
make sure.
Okay.
So we have connections with different engineers, but we didn't know if the center school, has one engineer that they have consistently
I
worked
think
with.
there's someone he has been working with
Uh-huh,
that was doing, because we just we're doing a roof, just finished that up, so I think we've been working with someone, so I would just ask if you connect with him,
okay,
because it may be like your person, he'd go, oh, yeah, whatever.
right.
Um,
And then Liz, do you want, our new custodian, head of custodian
Yes.
services to be copied on all of this? or
I
how
would
do you
think
want
so, I
that
think
to
that would be appropriate.
So make sure that Victoria and the team get that contact information too, just so you know who to include.
Yeah, generally that would be great to have the maintenance,
Right,
contact.
he's new to the school, Bill.
That-
We met him, we did meet him.
On day, like his
Yeah.
first day.
We came.
So to keep him involved too, that's great.
If Cheryl, would you be able to share that contact with me?
I can,
Or,
Liz,
okay,
yeah,
Liz,
Liz can do that.
great,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Liz can do that.
Yeah, since there's no one owner for the school, like someone has to represent, the liabilities, obviously, that's gonna be the engineering team, but we also want to make sure that the school board or whoever has to administer the insurance, like understands, we're trying to mitigate risk, obviously, to the students, obviously, it's the number one thing, somebody has, whatever your policy dictates, we have to make sure that we're in compliance with all the rules for the insurance, obviously, also the maintenance, and as well, the nuts and bolts of that.
So Jim Bazina, or James Bazina, is our business manager. And Bisbit is our insurer. So we can get you all those names or emails also, put in touch with them, that'd be right.
But you're, I mean, great, you're comfortable with Steve coordinating, being their primary.
Yeah, I think, yeah, because.
Given the size of the project.
Given the size of the project and just his scope of knowledge of organizing these things, because he'd be the kind of person who, like, how Steve always puts it to me, I know you won't do this, but this is how Steve puts me. You say, well, we're coming in at 8 o'clock in the morning with our crane, and we're doing this, and Liz is like, wait a minute, I got kids coming in, and so Steve's the one who then says, no, you're coming in at this time, and he can help coordinate all that, and so she can focus on running her building and.
Kids do like a crane.
Again, I was just, I mean, that's something you kind of posed it to me, but also just like, if you need something like, gosh, you know this, what if you open something up and there's a problem, right? Like, like, we had that with the roof over here, and when they got into a problem, I mean, I got a text message, and we talked to you right away, and he and the roofer were down explaining what the problem was and what the remedy was and all that stuff, and we were able to just move quickly, so.
Yeah, that's our idea. We sort of specified like a rough understanding of how we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna get closer to actually, pinning down exactly what the documents that we're gonna have the engineers look at. And then we'll get obviously the engineering report, and I think Steve is gonna help us to bring that report to business manager and other concerned parties that may need to get involved and make sure that you're happy with the way that looks and, all that details.
I was just thinking that I remember, Liz, you're talking about when the tank was pulled out of the ground.
Yeah.
The kids were really excited about it. So like, when you said about the crane, I know you're not gonna have a crane. The kids are.
Couldn't you fit a crane in there somewhere?
I know. Is that it's so exciting because.
I get an extra bill.
Part of it, it's learning a lot about what it is that you're doing. You know what I mean? So That's very cool.
Well, and then the timeline, obviously, for the project is, it would probably be better if we didn't have the kids here. And we're doing it because we're gonna have to section off a safety zone, cordon off an area. We're probably gonna use a man lift for accessing the roof, bringing some materials up and down for sure. We're gonna be using we have a cable operated, it's like a materials trolley.
I
bring
didn't mean that they were
materials
going to
on
be
the roof.
going to it. See, over here is a parking lot.
We'll need to cordon off an area that can.
That's the beauty of the roof, is they can't see up there usually.
And they can see you. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
No, but the educational opportunities
that's what I
are
meant.
great, and I would be happy to come in and explain, some educational background to some of the classes, if that's something that.
Because that's been,
Yeah.
I will say, like, part of the educational process is people learning the skill, knowing that these are skills that they can use. Sometimes they're not exposed to them, or in high school, what
And then-
kind of businesses they can get engaged in. So
And actually, the high school just changed the Brattleboro Union High School just changed one of their technical programs. From sort of an engineering base to an electrical. And there's yet to be a female student there. I would love for my youngest daughter, to be like the first, but female tech electricians are not really something that we talk about, but it is the number one, like, important position to fill in Vermont. There are a dearth of electricians, and it's an amazing job, and it's really gonna have a key, place in the upcoming generations, decades to come, and to start, thinking that way and talking about in the classroom and seeing in their own school what's going on it's a good opportunity.
Yes,
I actually have a presentation I did for a school about the solar industry and everything that, so I could pull that up. I can find that on my computer and use that as a basis.
Andrew, you and me,
Yeah,
both of us are old.
We used to be educators. That's when we actually.
That's why we know each other.
That's great. Oh, that's great.
I know you don't get to the nitty gritty here of hookups and so on, but I just want, if it's something, we're shooting for 106% of current need. Hopefully we can switch to certain functions to use more electricity in the future, so our need might expand. So is it going to be relatively easy with whatever you've got here to add on other modules if we want to put another 20 panels somewhere?
Well, 20, yeah, no problem. We basically, your interconnection right now is 150 kilowatts. You have 350 kilowatt transformers on top of the pole right that I'm pointing to out the window, if we can see that. And so that's kind of where we're at with limitation. It might be possible to go a little bigger than that if you needed to. We have installed quite a bit larger DC capacity on the same. So this AC capacity of 150 kilowatts, that would actually accommodate at least maybe 30 more kilowatts. That would be no problem. You could add an additional 30 kilowatts to this existing inverter system, and that would be completely appropriate. There's no issue of like losing out on power because you have too many solar panels. So you could easily add another 30 kilowatts.
Obviously, at some point, you might want to get rid of the boiler and have heat pumps or something.
Right,
Yeah, now that's obviously a major change. When you take the dollar amount of your fuel source, just move the dollars over into the electrical budget and then realize how big that number is. Like it might, I'm not gonna say it's gonna double your electric bill, but it's not gonna be a small increase. I'm not sure what your heating bill is, but I bet it's at least $10,000, maybe probably more.
I see. So for now, this is what we can get.
That's right.
Well, you can kind of summarize it back and up a little bit, what you all proposed, which responded to our request, is to more than cover the current utility expenses at this school, which is $35,000 a year. And so you gave, I think it's 102% in the proposal or something like that. And that's by using roof space on the existing buildings, on the gymnasium and on this building. And then you offered the potential in the future of canopies out in the parking lot. But even without that, you're saying we could cover our current electrical usage with the panels on the two buildings.
Yeah, there are some charges. There's always going to be some electrical costs that are not, will not be offset by solar. But in terms of the usage, yes, on average, that will, some months will be more, some will be less, but over the course of 12 months. That will be covered.
And year to year, it changes depending on the weather.
This is a down year.
This is a down year because of all the rain.
Yeah.
And
Spoke.
so you can have quite a bit of a swing from year to year.
Why don't you also tell us how long it will take to pay it up? From the past?
I think it was it 7 years?
There's 6.7 here.
7 years.
Yeah, so that's pretty good, typical for a good site on a home in Vermont is about 10 years. It's typical payback period for a decent solar site. So this is, it's economies of scale and sort of make this, a shorter payback.
The 30% helps as
Yeah.
well.
I guess.
Yeah, just that very little. Right. Are there any questions from the board, other things you think would help us understand and help the public understand what we're attempting to do here?
I think the timeline, there's a couple of factors that we really can't provide the proposal until we get the engineering verified. And then once we do that, we can get together a contract. And then once the contract is finalized, that's when we can start permitting. And fortunately in Vermont, permitting a roof is way simpler and more straightforward than for permitting a ground mount. So if this were to be a ground mount or have a ground mount component, we would be talking about maybe potentially 1 or 2 years. And many thousands of dollars, and you don't even know what you're going to be, if you're going to be actually issued a permit in the end. So this is pretty straightforward. If there are no upgrades required or major objections, then the permit could take as little as 30 days to be issued. So it's hard to give a timeline without being ready to be there to permit right now, but we do have a few sort of options that the team is thinking about. And we're thinking about safety at every step, especially with the other roofs. The gym roof, we feel like if there's an opportunity to be able to install, even if the kids are here, we feel like we could pull that off very safely. And that's almost a 50 kW system. So we could potentially have a phase 1 and get the gym installed. And then ideal would be actually doing the other roofs in the summer, just for safety. But we can meet as a team, and if the permits are issued and we're ready to go, it's just something we're gonna have to look at and figure out how to do that without.
A lot of it's gonna come out of the engineering, how much interior work you're gonna actually have to do to attach to the roof. Traditionally, we do a ballasted system, which is just weight block, which holds the system down. With the age of the school, we developed a system that was really lightweight, which ends up using fixed attachments that will go into the building itself. That makes sense. So depending on what comes out of the engineering, they may say, you know what, that can take all the weight. Just go up there and do it traditionally, then we could do the whole thing and not have to get into the school and disrupt. So that's what we're trying to wait out, or get the answer from the engineers. And with the gymnasium, that's one roof that's been built recently. It's predictable. We get the engineer to bless that and we can go for it. So that was kind of the idea, is that would be something that we could potentially get done before the end of the year. that section of it. But this section, I would say, depending on what the engineers say, more than likely would have to be next summer.
I believe we've had engineering look at the roof, but maybe not with the lens of solar, so they
Right.
have already been inside and done what they need to do, and they just need to go back and do the math, and can probably tell you.
Right, it's just about what's up there and what, how do I connect to it if I have to connect to it.
Right.
Um,
So like, just for my edification, for like, say, phase one gym, like, is there a stop time of the season you can't work?
Not with the winters we've been having.
Advantages and disadvantages, right? No.
Yeah, I mean, you know, work in the winter goes slower, but you know, you guys are under a contract, so that's not on, you know. Yours,
Okay.
it just, it's a little bit longer timeline if it snows and we got to shovel, then we lose a day, you know.
Okay, so I just know certain
Right,
things have to stop working.
right,
you know,
and if we
certain-
get
depending
a
on-
cold spell at -20 degrees, we're not gonna make penetrations in rubber at 20, you know, -20, so. There's a lot of factors involved there, and we just gotta get some answers put together on what, you know, the path that we're gonna take to attach that system.
But realistically, we probably would slow down quite significantly by the end of the year. And then not work on it for probably until the spring.
Makes sense, okay.
We're looking at about a 30-day permitting timeline, so we need to get our engineering squared away, get that portion like lockdowns. We know exactly what we can build. And then we're going to go out and get the permit, which takes about 30 days to a little more than 30 days. It's 30 days. Plus, we'll have time where we'll need to do that and then it can proceed. So we started on it tomorrow, which we can't do. It would basically be October by the time we could even start. If we didn't have any projects.
Right. So there's another question, and maybe you can help with this. In a casual conversation with Steve Horton recently, he suggested that he was exploring putting a new roof on the gym because it's 20 years old. That roof is 20 years old. And so he's recommending that a new roof go on the gym before you put in the soil. At least he's exploring that.
Okay, I think that's great. He's exploring that because this is the time to do that. And, you know, we want to get the best opinion and make all the best decisions. And on our end, there's no rush. We're here to make all the best, you know, decisions for longevity and it's great that Steve has experience with the building and knows the building and we'll work with him and
he's gonna explore what it would cost. And I don't know how long it takes. I don't know how long it took to do the new roof. There's a new roof over on the other side of the building, right? How much of the building has a new roof already now? Not the gym, but the rest of it.
Just the east side of the building.
Just the east. So that's all.
okay, yeah,
We're
so
not gonna be able to attach to that part. That was clearly beyond the pale. There's absolutely no way we're gonna be putting anything on that one. We have this area right here. And then this area just north of us, in these buildings, parts of the building here. And then we have the gymnasium, but that was over there. They just said, you can't put anything on there.
How old is the rubber on this section? No idea.
It looks pretty good.
I mean, I always thought it was all pretty recent, just because it looks in good shape, but.
Yeah, I think that the gym probably just, that was original when that was built and hasn't never been touched.
This is probably more recent.
But I'm shooting Steve an email if we're talking, so.
Yeah.
To try and.
The general rule of thumb is 15 years. You want to have 15 years remaining in your roof, is the general idea. And because the solar panels cover the roof, so it's like UV light is pretty much what's breaking down your roof. So if you're shading the roof, it should last longer than that. Anyway, so we got a 25-year product warranty. We expect our stuff to last that long, no problem. And yeah, we think that If you got 15 years left in the roof, you'd probably be able to get 25 out of it, solar on top of it. But if you don't have that, that wouldn't make a lot of sense.
But definitely the time to do a new roof is before solar.
Yeah.
Right, right, right.
I have a slightly naive question probably. These are relatively shallow roofs. Most houses with tilt panels are pretty steep, so the snow runs off. How do these ones deal with snow? Are they gonna be tilted very steeply?
They are not going to be tilted steeply.
So how will they deal with snow cover?
They will black snow.
Yeah,
So
the
it's a-
gym
yeah.
roof is going to be an in-plane system. Our idea, right, John, Chad on this, could speak to this. The gym roof, I think we're gonna do an in-plane. So it's like a 6-degree pitch, something like that. But then it's also black, so as we've seen, it usually what ends up, it doesn't really collect up there, you won't have like 2 feet of snow, it just kind of gradually sloughs off. And at 6 degrees, that's not gonna be precipitous, it's not just going to all of a sudden fly off there. It's gonna take a while, but it will
A lot of
happen.
heat loss coming through that roof as well, but help melt, you know, when the panels are operating, they're gonna create a certain amount of heat, and then the heat from the building. I'd imagine by the time you went up there to clean it off, that most of it will be gone. If you have ever noticed, you know, snow building up on the roof, you know, in the past few years, have you ever remember seeing it, you know, build up, or it generally melts off, right? So I would say that's probably what you'd expect to see.
What about ice dams?
And then in this area, sorry.
You think about ice dams, you have a raised surface.
Yep.
Water comes down, it's gonna, in cold air, it's gonna freeze again. So-
Yeah, we've seen it be very, very good. I mean, especially when you're, okay, so we have the 2 surfaces, the gym roof is gonna be in plane, and there's really no problem with that because it's great because we have a roof over the roof. And so they're really, it all kind of just generally sloughs off. The one area of concern would be on the big roof here, this main roof here, which this one is tilted up. So we are going to obviously be doing some engineering work to determine how that snow and ice that builds up, because it's going to slide off the solar panels. They're going to be at 10-degree pitch, right?
Well, on this roof, it actually, it's a 5-degree pitch, and then I got a 10 in the opposite, so it ends up being a 5-degree.
It ends up being 5, okay. So, yeah, so again, the snow will kind of slide into little windrows kind of between there, and then we will have to, you know, evaluate that and, you know, make sure that it makes sense.
That's where the engineering comes in, but they take the snow loads and they make those calculations.
There's more thinking about just inoperability, if they're covered in snow, they're not working.
You know, that's
That's
true.
The way it is, the way it is.
You make less lumber than bacon.
Right, yeah, usually, especially the flat roof will be optimized as much as possible for taking the high summer sun. In the winter, the sun is so low, that angle is oblique and it just doesn't produce that much anyway. So, that's sort of that curve of producing a lot more in the summer. And hopefully you'll develop some credits, and then in winter you can,
We've already figured it out. So it's already factored all this into the predictions.
yeah, we have some fancy computer models, we can put it all in there.
Right. Okay, any other questions? for the team? Margie, any questions or comments from you? No. Thank you.
I'm so excited. This is awesome. Very, very excited.
All right.
Thanks, Margie.
So I think, so next steps, you'll be in touch with Steve, with Liz.
I just sent you an email.
Great.
All right, and engineering is actually next, and the information about the new roof on the gymnasium, that's really all we need.
You know, obviously we want to cover like all the details, like we were hoping to, use this, is it east facing, wall, on the gym to mount a lot of our equipment. We don't really want it to be down here where people are going to interact with it really in any way, other than like the meter on the side of the building. It's kind of the same kind of thing, like you don't want to do nothing, you can't push any buttons, there's no buttons, there's no interacting with it. I mean, that's how we want to do it the same way. I'll just keep it up and out of the way. I'm sure kids don't get up on the roof, so probably be fine up there.
Part of our experimental learning. Yeah.
It would be actually great because it will come with a monitoring app. And it would be really fun if like one of the grades was sort of like in control or responsible for the monitoring. There's a GMP side, but then there's this Solar Edge higher level real-time app you'll get. And I could see like the sixth graders could like be on that and be paying attention to it as the season.
Well, we used to do this data logging thing in our house. You remember before? This is way back. We had every day we had to write down I was writing it down just in a chart of, we didn't have monitoring. So you have a web-based application that's very interactive. You can see each individual panel on the roof, how it's doing every day, month, year, over the years, you can compare. So it's great. And you don't have to do all this data logging. But if for fun, you know, the kids want to get engaged in some kind of like tracking the information, that's a good idea. Because then we look and see how we're doing over the years, because it's, you know, the solar panels are probably going to overproduce a little bit the first year, and then we're going to gradually settle into, what's about 0.5% per year that they go down a little bit. So we'll start with 170 kilowatts of solar, and by year 25 we'll be at about 85%. Yeah, something like that.
They'll still work way
80%.
way
So we like to
longer.
kind of,
Yeah.
that's something you can kind of keep an eye on, how that degradation starts to happen. And it's pretty slow, obviously, but.
And
There's a
yeah,
lot of opportunities for learning.
yeah.
Or, yeah, you'd be monitoring the weather, the ambient conditions, all that stuff, tracking along with the solar production. That would be your.
It's
That's-
really interesting, even with the solar panels that we have, even just on Green Mountain Power, you guys probably know this, but you can overlay your the temperature outside on the graph with how much your thing is, and then we have ours net metered to multiple places, so it is interesting.
Yeah, and I'm struck, I don't know, Andrew, whether you have ever taught the classroom, but I know you have, Victoria. So could you both speak to that? Because it's just a kind of an extra bonus. Go ahead and speak to what you've done in that realm.
Well, I taught at a alternative school for kids who learn differently in Keene. MC squared, it's kind of somewhat similar to the company school. And so we had some school interchanges, and so I taught there for 2.5 years, middle school, high school.
And I was a middle school and high school teacher at the Compass School for 10 years. And that's where we sort of met each other and I think I visited your class once and started the Spanish department, which has since kind of whatever, but.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, in addition to doing extraordinary solar work, because I've had the chance to work with your company in the past. But it's just a bonus that you all care about education and those opportunities. So I encourage you to talk with Liz, you know, along the way, the school principal, and see if there are some ways that the kids can get. So,
Sure,
Definitely.
happy to do that.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. So if nothing else for you guys tonight, you're welcome to stay and you may certainly head home or on to other things. Congratulations on St. Michael's today.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Thank
really
you.
great. Thank you. Thanks.
And thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
We don't want to like, you know, start a big, I don't know, social media storm or anything, but we are open to answering any questions. If people from the community or from the board have questions about, you know, how specific things are going to work, or how how this equipment is going to impact, you know, school or anything. Obviously, we're to answer questions at sbpsolar.com.
And then we'll do one more thank you to the taxpayers who at town meeting approved our use of solar surplus monies for this purpose.
Yeah.
Oh, I did have another question. I just remembered, because in light of the PCB troubles, I guess, that are going on at the high school, is there any potential for that to impact this, this building or our projects, potentially?
So we had air sampling done last summer, fall. Last March,
Yeah.
and the air sampling came back, that there were no PCBs detected.
In this building.
However, the
Um.
building was built at some time during while PCBs were used,
And so there's-
but we're not in any obligation or need to do any kind of mitigation or remediation.
Great, that was our concern, was that if it hadn't been tested or looked at, that could potentially be.
Right.
And if, you know, if they're gonna tear this building down or something, whatever they're gonna do, I don't know what they're gonna do. Goodness, yeah.
Yeah, no, and again, like with working with Steve, like it's like, you know, one of the things that let's check for asbestos, like, you know, we do all those things as we're going through to make sure we're just covering all our bases, because we want to be safe.
It's true in terms of the timing, we're very fortunate that this building had already been tested.
Yeah.
So we can move in.
Great.
So then there's no major changes to this building planned for the next
You're in.
25 years or so, because we're gonna be inhabiting this space, like cohabiting, hopefully in a pleasant way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are having a new entryway
A new entrance.
within the next.
That's gonna be in that spot where you can't put anything anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great that we've got the map here on the, of course, people can't see this, but you know, showing you where the panels are gonna be, so you can see where we intend to be, even though it's hard to look at, obviously, I think the water.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll leave these copies just.
Great, great, great. Thank you.
I will take one.
Thank you very much. No, great. Thank you very much.
Oh, I
Thank
think.
you, everybody.
Thank
you.
Look forward to all of this.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. So the next item on the agenda is the pavilion, and the pavilion one proposal that we have received. I think we need to go into an executive session for that discussion. And so I'll alert Fact TV that I think that we'll be in an executive session for approximately 30 minutes or less, would be my guess on that. So it's 6:43, 6:45, and we'll be back approximately 7:15. And the motion to go into executive session is to discuss a contractual issue, premature knowledge of which could put both all parties involved at a disadvantage. So that's only given that it's a contractual matter. So we'll go into a, well, let me ask for a vote. Is that? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Margie? Okay, thank you.
Are you asking for administration?
Yes, I certainly am.
No, I just wanted to make sure. So.
Right, and Liz, when she returns, we would want her to be part of this one. So Margie and then Liz when she returns, and we'll have Nicole and Fat TV.